I remember the night everything changed, though honestly I'd been preparing for it forever. My family sat around the dinner table, faces etched with skepticism, as I laid out my plan to turn abandoned rooftops into lush, thriving ecosystems. I could see the doubt flickering in their eyes, the open dismissiveness that had haunted me since I first dared to dream differently. They called it impractical, eccentric, even ridiculous, and more than once. I heard someone sneer that I was wasting my life chasing a fantasy. They told me I'd fail, that I'd be an embarrassment to the family, that my ideas would go nowhere. That night, I felt a crushing weight, the kind that presses against your chest and makes you question your worth. But I knew deep down this was just the beginning. I had to leave behind their ridicule, their cynicism, their endless doubts. I had to prove that what I believed in wasn't foolish, it was vital. So I walked out of that house with trembling hands and a fierce resolve. I'd chase this dream even if it meant solitary battle after battle, rejection after rejection. The first years weren't easy. Nobody believed in me, at least not at first. I was dismissed as eccentric, dismissed as naive. The academic world, my old colleagues, they laughed when I suggested urban rooftop restoration could be a game changer. They stole my research, plagiarized my ideas, and tried to bury me under a mountain of skepticism. Every setback felt personal, like a punch to the gut, but I refused to give in. I threw myself into the work, pouring every ounce of passion and resilience into my mission. No longer confined by the constraints of traditional science, I reinvented myself as a pioneer in urban ecological restoration. Years of relentless effort turned barren concrete into vibrant green havens. I cultivated endangered plant species, reintroducing life into forgotten spaces. Slowly, the city started to breathe again. Trees sprouted through cracks, wildflowers carpeted empty lots, and once polluted rooftops became sanctuaries for birds and bees. My work sparked a revolution. People began paying attention. City officials, once dismissive, now reached out for help transforming their neglected rooftops into urban jungles. Projects multiplied, communities embraced this green renaissance, and what was once seen as eccentric became essential. And then came the moment of true triumph, an event I never could have imagined. I was invited to give a keynote speech at the city's biggest environmental summit. As I stepped onto the stage, I looked out at the crowd. City leaders, environmentalists, journalists, and I saw the faces of my family in the audience. They hadn't come just to see me speak. They had come to witness the result of my conviction, the proof that my vision was real. After my speech, I led a tour of one of the rooftop gardens I had helped create. The space was alive, lush, colorful, buzzing with bees and hummingbirds. I saw my father's eyes widen, my mother's jaw trembling as they took it all in. They had mocked me for dreaming too big, for thinking I could make a difference. Their words echoed in my mind. It's impractical. You're wasting your time. This will never succeed. But now, standing amidst this explosion of life, I realized those words had been the chains that kept me small. They wanted me to be a failure, to be ashamed of my ambitions. But I wasn't. I'd become what they said I couldn't. I had turned their doubts into my fuel, their skepticism into my strength. And as I watched their expressions shift from disbelief to awe, I realized that justice had been served. Not through revenge, but through the undeniable truth of what I had created. That moment was a catharsis I'd carried with me all these years. My family's ridicule had almost broken me, but it also fueled my fire. They had tried to dismiss my ideas, to dismiss my worth, because they couldn't understand the power of a dream rooted in hope and resilience. And now, I stood before them as living proof that the most impossible ideas can blossom into reality when you refuse to give up. What I learned from all of this? That betrayal can be a catalyst. That the very people who doubt you most often serve as the catalysts for your transformation. I'd been betrayed by colleagues, dismissed by family, but I turned that betrayal into my greatest motivation. I reinvented myself from a dismissed scientist into a pioneering environmentalist. And I proved that even in the face of relentless skepticism, perseverance and passion can carve out a new reality. Today, I look at those rooftop gardens and know that I've done more than restore ecosystems. Hope that the impossible is just a challenge waiting to be conquered. That the people who mock you today might be the ones witnessing your triumph tomorrow. And that sometimes the greatest betrayal can lead to the most profound redemption. So if you're out there feeling dismissed, ridiculed, or underestimated, remember this. Your dreams are not foolish. Your passion is not pointless. The very people who tell you you'll fail are the ones who will witness your success and realize they were wrong all along. Because more often than not, the greatest victories come from the most unlikely battles. And that's the true power of persistence. It's the quiet, relentless voice that says, I will prove you wrong, and then, with time, shows the world what's possible. I've learned that from betrayal, I built something beautiful. From doubt, I found my purpose. And from rejection, I rose, crowned with the undeniable truth that I was never the failure, but the future I believed in. That's the lesson I carry now, one that I hope resonates with anyone listening. Never let the noise of doubt drown out your own conviction. Because one day the world will have no choice but to listen, and when it does, it will see what you've become. And trust me, nothing feels better.